friends and travelers, Brooke here. Today I'm taking you to La Fortuna. We are taking a tour of the Northfields Coffee Plantation located just outside of the heart of downtown La Fortuna. Again, that's where the Arenal volcano is, where the beautiful lake is, where there's tons of hot springs. This is one of the things that you guys can do when you're there. I learned so much about the coffee and how it's grown, so let's go ahead and get started. Our guide today is David. He's very informative about the whole tour. The Northfields Coffee Tour is an organic farm. Here, they start the seeds off by planting them in these recycled tires. We'll put them in some nutrient-rich dark soil. Many times coffee plants are planted in pairs. This will ensure that if one of the plant dies, the other will hopefully survive. After about a year, it's ready to be transplanted into the ground. Here in this coffee plantation, there are about 400 different coffee plants. These coffee plants can live anywhere from 30 to 40 years if they are cared for well. One of the things that is talked about a lot is shade-grown coffee. Now, back in the day, ancient farmers used to utilize crop rotation. This was for a few different reasons. Number one, they could have different crops harvesting at different points of the year in order to ensure food and profit throughout the whole year. And number two, as the time went on, they saw that harvesting all of these plants together made a great ecosystem that would benefit all of these different plants. So coffee plants many times grew in the shade of huge palm trees and plantain trees. They had guava trees, avocado trees, oak trees. There was also yucca trees, and all of these different trees provided lots of not only shade for the coffee, but it also provided a wonderful ecosystem for all of the plants in the area. All of the plants would enhance the flavor of the coffee via the earth and their roots and via cross-pollination, so it was actually a better product for everything in the long run. Also, with a better ecosystem, there were more animals that would come in, and hence the animals such as insectivorous birds would feast on the insects that would love to live in those little coffee plants and coffee berries, so it was great all around. And this is where the whole term of shade-grown coffee actually came from. When coffee is in full sun, they ripen quicker and get a bigger yield. However, since there's only coffee trees there tend to be more insects. And with these insects, of course, comes pests, and of course the farmers don't like this, so they'll often use pesticides and fertilizers in sun-grown coffee. The coffee berries are ready to pick when they turn red. Many times these are called cherries. The coffee beans are actually little seeds inside each of these coffee berries. In learning more about coffee, I've learned that there are two different types of coffee. One of them is Arabica and one of them is Robusta. Arabica actually matures faster and it has a better body and flavor, while Robusta can tend to be more bitter, although it does have about 40 to 50% more caffeine, which is why it's actually preferred in Italian espresso making, and it actually provides a better head or foam to make that crema, which is famous in Italian espresso. Here in Costa Rica, they actually only produce Arabica on a commercial level. This is for a few different reasons. Number one, they'll have a more uniform product. Number two, it'll have a better flavor. There are many different strains of Arabica coffee. One is called Típico, or as the Ticos say, Típico, and these Típico plants can grow sometimes up to 6 meters tall, or about 18 to 20 feet. As the Ticos are little short people, they actually prefer to not grow the Típico plants because with one hand they have to grab the tree and pull it over, and with the other hand they'll pick the berries, which makes picking the berries so much harder because the tree is so tall. Here in Costa Rica, most of the coffee is picked by hand. The workers will have these baskets that are called cajuelas. The fastest picker can pick about 20 of these baskets in a day. And then the owner pays them as a salary, right? $2 per basket that they fill up. So the most that someone could make picking coffee is $40 a day. That's the most. Unless you're super fast. After the coffee is picked off of the tree, there are different methods for drying. One of the methods consists of laying all the beans out in the sun to air dry. This usually takes between 2 and 3 weeks depending on the humidity of the area. Also, there's another method that's actually more of a fermentation process similar to the cacao bean, but many times the beans are dried outside in the sun. From here, there's a couple different ways of doing it. On a large commercial scale, many times they put them into a huge machine to separate the coffee parchment paper on the outside from the actual bean. Here, we see how the ancient farmers did it, putting it into a peeling, just like we saw on the cacao tour, and using that wooden instrument to pound those beans so that they can separate it from that silver parchment paper that's just on the outside of those beans. Afterwards, again, it's the same process of winnowing or blowing an air current. This will separate the coffee bean from the coffee seed paper, or that parchment paper that's kind of coating that seed. This outside parchment paper is actually what protects the seed, so you have to take that off for the roasting process. After the beans have had their parchment paper taken off, the best beans are actually picked to be roasted. In the olden days, actually the grandmothers were the ones selected to pick out the best beans. Now I would say that the people said, "But grandma, nobody does it better than you," but really they didn't want to do it. Who knows if that's true or not. But as you can see, the beans here are mixed in with some other bad beans. Usually in every coffee cherry, there are 2 seeds or 2 coffee beans, but sometimes there's only one and the other one isn't very good. So you're gonna go ahead and take out all of those bad beans that were never really beans. They almost look like little rocks. After this process, the beans are now ready for roasting. As you can see, this is a more artisan way to roast. Now, of course, there are different kinds of roast. There's a light roast, a medium roast, and a dark roast. Actually, the longer that you roast coffee, the less caffeine it has. Dark roast will have less caffeine than a medium roast.
¿Lo escucha? Como palomitas.
Oh, like popcorn.
Exactly.
Here, we can actually see the coffee oil that's heated up inside the beans. Check it out. After the beans are roasted, it's time to winnow them again. Here, we can see they're using a fan. According to the experts, they say the perfect roast of a good quality of coffee is actually a medium roast. I myself prefer dark roast. However, I was informed that dark roast is actually the burning of the bean, which actually makes it a little bit more bitter and makes it lose a little bit of flavor. And besides the point of not having as much caffeine as the medium roast. Come on, when we wake up in the morning, we want as much caffeine as possible. They actually told me that many times when there's a poor quality of coffee, a lot of the times it's dark roasted to mask the flavor that's actually not very good. Now, before we can head off and to make ourselves a cup of coffee, they had one more surprise for me. Here David takes a sugar cane and puts it through something that's called a trapiche, or a machine that is specifically designed to get the sugar water outside of the sugar cane. Fresh sugarcane water from the plant. Wow. Oh, it's so good. It's amazing. It's like a sugary, again, kind of grassy, but just like the best sugar water you've ever tasted. I'm never leaving. I'm never leaving. Here in Costa Rica, this is a very, very typical way of making coffee. Have the water come almost to boiling, and then they'll slowly put that water in, and it makes a really, really nice coffee. Experts say that the optimal temperature of the water is about 96 degrees Celsius. Something else I found really interesting was how they actually came up with the idea of coffee. Well, historians say that in Ethiopia, there was a goat herder who was minding his own business, out herding his goats, and all of a sudden he sees his goats eating from a plant And then he saw them jumping up and down and realized that they were full of energy. He thought to himself, I wonder what this plant is. So he started by making a tea from the leaves and the berries of the tree, but he didn't like it. Then eventually he took the beans inside the fruit and roasted them to give them more flavor, and then made a tea out of that. And he noticed that it gave him a ton of energy. He eventually shared it with the rest of the world, and they actually made him a saint because of it. Coffee has a very long and interesting history. As a side note, coffee was actually contraband in a lot of countries. I think it had something to do with religion, but you guys can check it out if you're interested. Oh yeah. So this is coffee with goat's milk and fresh sugar cane.
Exactly.
Oh my god, my first sip. It's delicious. It's not a taste that I'm used to. It tastes very fresh, I guess is the word. Not like it has a smooth taste. A little smoky. I can't describe it. It's just kind of smoky.
Smoky?
Smoky, like you can taste the roasting process.
Good. Or quiet.
The quality is great. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias para el tour, que me encantó. I loved it. The coffee is wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Doña, encantada. Nice to meet you, and thank you so much.
Un placer.
So, if you are in the La Fortuna area, please come by. Awesome coffee, awesome service, and the Doña makes the most wonderful arepas, which is kind of like a little pancake at the end, right? Okay, so thank you very much.
Costa Rica, pura vida.